Nico's hands up already. Ladies and gents, as you're coming in, if you can hear me, if you can see my screen, if we get yes to both, if you can raise your hand in the Zoom application, there we go. Plenty hands are coming. We are winning. So happy New Year to everyone. I was unable to make last week, but back this week with myself and Njabulo Nsibande. Njabulo, of course, you find villagetrader.co.za for 20 Jan. A quick bit of housekeeping before we dive in. I've been chatting with ThinkMarkets in the senses that we definitely do want to carry on with this. As you note, I've changed it to Follow the Trader because that seemed like trading CFDs seemed a bit of a boring title. Anyway, so we'll call it that. Just a name change, nothing terribly fancy there. Remember, you find all the ThinkMarkets videos. I did a bunch just as lockdown kicked in last year around some trading and the like, and then of course their details and everything as well, support and everything else. So we're going to carry on running with this. I asked peeps last year, what times work, etc. No one objected to the Wednesdays at 5:30. So, that works. It works for me. Njabulo, I didn't actually ever check with you if it works for you as well for Wednesdays 5:30.
Yeah, it works perfectly for me.
Yeah, and if you listened up with to the podcast Njabulo and myself did, when Njabulo did, I was guesting last week, is I want to start focusing on the indices because the equities were, man, it's like hard work and time. So I'm going to go to indices. I'm going to come to that in a second. I've still got 2 trades that just, look, I'm not complaining that they won't go away. So my Telkom trade is still ticking along since 4th of November. It's in profit. Stop loss has been moved, but it's kind of almost in a sense worked its way into a new trading range. Not a massive one, but kind of continuing the sideways rather than any sort of massive break higher. So my swap cost is 23 rand. It's not massive. Profit is 288. 23 there we can take, but they've survived through. This one's now what we do. I can't do the math. 2.5 months. And Standard Bank, which I entered a week later on the process, same sort of story. I've moved the stop loss on the Telkom. Let me go back to that chart quick. I moved my stop loss a little bit higher, but one of the things I identified, which I was sort of moving stops. So I'm comfortable with it at the moment, 28.46. It's above my initial stop loss, but has moved higher, and I've adjusted that accordingly. My Standard Bank stop is still in place. It's still sitting where I had initially had it. Price target of 146.50. I got a sense that what we've seen in our local market is obviously 2020 was all about it was about the resource stocks. We've seen retailers run. I can't help wondering we're going to get some trading updates from the big banks, probably February-ish, maybe early Feb. And maybe banks will have their day in the sun and then we can get taken. So at this point, I'm letting those 2 trades do. And then I'm going to take my cash in my ZAR account, which currently sits there, add some money to it, and I'm going to flip it across to my USD account and trade the USD. And the reason for that is because I want to go off and trade these indices. Using my 721, I've chatted about it. I'm going to take one of these sessions, or maybe I'll link to a video just for a refresher on it. It's a very, very simple system. There's nothing massively fancy about it. And it really lets me then trade the indices. The problem I run into, and we picked this up last year, so they've all basically triggered. So the trigger is you've got your 7 moving average, you've got a 21 moving average. In this case, they're both exponential. I prefer exponential moving averages. And they cross, the next candle's green. So I would have entered into that on that candle there back in early November. This is the ETF for the Russell 2000, which is kind of the small cap. And then it runs. And it's very much a trend following system. So the trend is going and we're off to the races. Nikkei 225 out of Japan, same story, same period, entry on the 4th. If you look at this chart, you can see that it did nothing for months before. And that is, as a trend follower, what you've got to get used to is that when markets are going sideways, in other words, not trending, you are in a heap of pain. I mean, what essentially is going to happen is you're going to have a lot of trades, which are going to lose you a bit of money. And then you get those winners, 23 and a half up to 28 and a half. NASDAQ 100. You can see there the sort of messy period, but if I zoom out a little bit more, nice run up from that low in April, then some consolidation, which loses you money, and then the stock is triggered again. And they all triggered around about that early November, which was obviously the US presidential, Senate and Congress or House elections. So they're going. So the trick is that there hasn't been a lot happening here, and there won't be. I'm going to go and dig around for indices. What I want is a nice pile. What I've got here is the simple ones. We've got the Russell 2000, Nikkei 225, got the Nasdaq 100, DAX 30, which is German. Same story, consolidation, nice little break. Although the DAX, because there is my stop, DAX would have stopped me there. A close below the 21 takes me out. Now, you can do a less aggressive close or stop, which has been the 7 and 21 cross, and you use that for an exit. I've always used, well, when I say always, for the last decade or so, I've used that close below. So that would have then triggered me out of that one. The problem with this method, though, using that type of stop loss, which is a more aggressive stop, is that quite simply, I do re-entry, do I? Because I need the candle to cross. My next entry into DAX will be when they cross down. S&P 500, muddling along, same story. Early November, triggered off to the races. That would have been my entry at about 35,000. So we're up about 10% on this one. And then ZAR 40. Same story. I need to zoom on those. I think I probably got taken out at that point there. I want to go back and have a look at do I do the cross? The trick with the cross is that you give back a lot, but it keeps you in the trends for longer. You give back a lot on stop, if that makes sense. And then, of course, UK 100, which again, if I'm using my current methodology, would have stopped me about there. And it's not a train smash. So there's my cross. I'm in at about 61.40 and I'm stopped at about 64.10. So what's that? About 270 points. It's about a little under 5% on the particular position. So I'm going to carry on monitoring these. I'm going to go and retest my stop methodology. And then I'm going to go find more indices. And I want, let's find some globals, the Euro Stoxx 50 and the like. And in many cases, it might not be the direct index I trade. I might trade an ETF on it. And I'm perfectly comfortable with that. As I said, I'll move some cash into my dollar account because I need some dollars to trade it. I'm doing that so I only get one spread I have to cross. I don't, every time I trade, want to take ZAR, move to dollars, do the trade, close the trade, move back to ZAR. Too many spreads being crossed. Move it all once, stick it into dollars, and then trade it from dollars, and just keep on running it in that sense there. Seeing a couple of Philip, been trading foreign indices using ZAR account through MTA. No need to convert ZAR for USD. Oh, okay, I need to dig around that. That makes my life easier. Regan, bonjour. Yes to you. That's the trick. I mean, you know what? This is a hindsight one, right? I wanted to start. I should have started this in October. We didn't know that then, but there are indices all over the world the Nikkei is at a 30-year high. It's almost going to break its all-time high. And I got to be honest, that was something I thought might never actually happen in my lifetime, but it looks like it might actually do it. Now, I'm old enough to actually remember, and Njabulo, you're laughing there cynically in the corner. I'm old enough to remember when that index cracked, and I was vaguely aware of it in Japan and stuff, and all the horrors around what was happening in Japan. But that index peaked in the 80s and hasn't got back to it yet. Question coming on currencies. At some point I'll start to bring in some currencies as well. I'm going to stick to daily charts, and that's just a time issue. In currencies, I typically like a 4-hour chart, but then you're constantly checking. And then I miss the midnight, and I missed the 4 a.m. candle, but I got an 8, a 12, a 4, and another 12. Too many candles. So I'm going to keep it onto the daily charts. This is a system that I have traded on everything from 5-minute to daily. Way back in the day, I used to trade it on 5, 15, and 60 minutes on the Aussie. And now I'm trading it. And then I started trading it in the last decade or so on the daily chart, and I will be trading it on daily. Same risk reward process, 2% risk. I use 1.8 just for slippage and the like, positioning stops, etc. the stops here are a little bit harder because of the moving average, but I can get the point for the moving average, put the stop in, and then just have to be adjusting that and keep that going. Actually, I've got a challenge in that because I want to close below. So I'm going to set alerts rather than stops, because what's important is, for example, that point there on the 30th of November, the FTSE 100 touched the 21, but that didn't close below. I need a close below in order to trigger that particular stop. So I'm going to park that there. Njabulo, I'll hand over to you. You can bring us up to speed on your trades and how they're going.
Yeah, man, they're going very, very well. Just before we get to that, I'm pondering here and wondering if we can't borrow some of the lazy into the 721 for re-entries for these charts that have run away from you. So like a trigger maybe perhaps would be a breakthrough the 7 moving average and then close higher.
So back again.
Yeah.
So in that case, and this is a bad chart because I get back in at that point. And that's what I want to go and do is dig around. So do I change my stop to the cross, or do I perhaps, in Njabulo, I like your idea. So I'm stopped at that point, but on that candle there, which is days later and slightly higher, the trend is still up. It's gone back through my trigger, which is closed through. So it's a case of, well, okay, maybe that's what I use for a re-entry, because otherwise which is why when I was day trading Aussie back in 2005, 6 around then, I traded 3 time zones for exactly that problem, because even in the 60-minute time frame, you would get into the trade, you'd get stopped, and then it might be days before you got another signal. So then I adjusted my time frames, and that worked, but it's a bit of a hack job. So in Njabulo, that might be a better solution.
Yeah. Because I did trade the 721 earlier last year, and then I always had that problem that once I'm in the trade, I can't re-enter the trade, or once the 7 moving averages have crossed, I can't get into the bus. Once you miss the bus, the bus is gone.
You missed it, which is why a cross of the moving averages is a better exit, but then it's your drawdowns. So I want to go and crunch some numbers on that, and I got myself a whole bunch of some data and stuff. So I'm going to go and crunch a whole bunch around that.
Cool, got you. I'm going to start off with arguably my favorite trade at the moment, which is African Rainbow Minerals, and yes, I'm still on that trade. Entered it for the first time around, let's see, I think it must have been
early October.
Yeah, early October. It was a falling wedge. Yeah, that's where I got in. I've been adding into this position for a while, and interestingly, it's been in almost a vertical trend channel, and now trading on the upper side of that trend, above that mean trend line there. So I'm looking for a break because it seems like it found some resistance around that 303 level. I'm looking for a break higher there, in which case I will most likely add into this position and put drag my stop there, just below. Let me just maybe duplicate that. Somewhere around below those lows there, just to keep on adding into my winning position.
That is the ideal sort of trade. What you've added, is that 7 trades you've added into that one, starting at under $200.
Yeah, about 7. And I've actually done the math. If I were to get stopped out on all of them, I still be in profit. I think about 700 right now.
Cool. And you've got them RCD. So they've all got the same stop loss, even with different entries.
Yeah. So that's what I do every time I add into the position. The new stop, the old stop must be the new stop as well.
Do you have to do the stop on each trade individually?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you can just drag the
you just drag it up,
so it makes it a little bit easier. And
I like that they keep them separate trades. I mean, I know truthfully it's all one trade, but there's something quite sweet looking at a trade that you opened in early October at 197. It's no difference to the P&L, but it's nice for the psyche.
Yeah. And on BHP as well, I'm looking. We have this nice bullish flag here. I'm looking to add into this position once we break higher there. Which yeah, I like adding to my winners.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do I let them run, I like adding to them to compound my returns. Capitex looks good for a break higher. Not gonna add to it. Not at the moment. At least on a break higher around that 1500 level, then I might be looking to add into this position. But at this very moment, not keen to add. Perhaps I'm just gonna move my stop to that 1300-ish level. Another one looking good in an uptrend is the clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I added on this break here. Let me just jump back into my weekly chart. I added on this break. You see, we had this nice resistance there, and we broke through that. I think it must have been last Friday or something like that. And then I
Mm-hmm.
entered on Monday, and yeah, we're still been muddling along, going nowhere slowly. Discovery, we have a nice falling wedge there, looking to add into the position as well. Um, Not too sure why the stock has been taking some hit at the moment, uh, but yeah, once if we do break through that resistance there of the falling wedge, I'll add into the position, put my stop just below the low of the wedge there, and that would be very very close to my break even point on the initial trade. Still, we have this nice horizontal bullish flag. It's still going nowhere slowly. But my problem with Distel is that my trend indicators, which is the 30 exponential moving average and 60-week exponential moving average, haven't crossed this yet. So I can't add into a new position at the moment on Distel.
Gotcha.
But I'll just keep on trailing my stop behind me until they do cross. In which case, I'll most likely add into this position. And then, man, on gold and gold miners, those fake breaks have been killing me. They haven't been giving me a break. So I think I'm, 3-0 on gold and gold miners at the moment. I think I also have Harmony, which is a similar case as well. Um, what's Xaro? Xaro broke, found some resistance there, and then I added into the position
Mm-hmm.
once it broke again. Um, Looking good at the moment. Looking good at the moment. And once we take out that high there, that high around 160, I'll trail my stop just below that low there, just below there, and which will be slightly above just above break even on the initial trade, and will significantly reduce the risk on the last trade that I was on.
Mm-hmm.
And a similar story with
Oh, you
Foschini.
got Fashini.
Yeah, similar story. I entered Foschini back. I think Foschini must have been the oldest one. Yeah, I entered back in August
August.
when we started this series. Foschini was one of the
Yeah,
first
that was,
that I
yeah.
took. I'm still in the trade. I'm still muddling along. My stop is well above profit. I mean, well above my entry point.
Mm-hmm.
Still looking good. But again, just like Distel, my trend indicators haven't crossed this yet. But they're looking good. The 30-week exponential moving average seems to have turned already, just waiting for them to cross.
Yeah, and a nice break on that weekly chart.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was on the back of I think was it
Yeah, they
Woolworths
did
News.
so Fashini was, so there was True was on Friday, and then Fashini put out a trading update yesterday. So they came back a bit today, but our clothing retailers have been flying this week.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, retailers are looking good. Even Mr. Price is looking very, very good. I'll get to that in just a sec. Similarly with DRD,
Mm.
gold miners are not liking me at the moment. And then PGMs are just looking good, man. PGMs are just looking good. I thought we were gonna break
Yeah,
out
that's why
of.
we got PGM miners.
Oh, this is the weekly chart. I added into we found some resistance around the 215 level, forming that ascending
Mm-hmm.
triangle pattern. I added just before the close yesterday. Well, hindsight bias said I should have waited for a retest, but that's okay. Added to the position. By my stop is now just above break even on the initial trade, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Kumba Kumba looking good with that bullish flag. Um, I think early in the morning, look, it did look like it was going to break, but came back. But we'll see how that pans out over the days, and which puts my target at 826 on Kumba, which would be a quite a run. Then a trade I entered this morning was Mondi. So Mondi broke and ran away from me. So it broke here, but didn't confirm, and the confirmation candle just ran away from me, and the risk reward ratio didn't work out. And I thought the trade was gone, but now we came back to retest that resistance level, and it looks like it held today.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah, yeah.
also at the same time forming that bullish flag. And once we break out of that bullish flag, I'm looking to add into the position and perhaps move my stop just below the low of that bull flag there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And multi-choice has been a weird one. I first entered on a bull flag, which then turned into a symmetrical triangle pattern there, entered on the break there, and seems to have created another symmetrical triangle, which I might look to add into the position, trading my stop behind me. I'll see in terms of risk if the new stop reduces the current risk to less than 1%, then I'll look to add into the position risking 1% more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And PGMs are looking good. Entered on the break
Yeah.
there on Northern Plat. So seems to find some resistance there around 216. I'm looking for a break above 216 to add into this position as well, with the stop loss just below those the traffic there. But I'll just put it away. I like my stop being away, way out of traffic. I don't like my stop, within traffic because I don't like being whipsawed.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, so when you're in a trade, so you when you're in a trade, you want to stay as long as possible because trades are expensive to get into. There's a spread to cross and potential slippage and all of that sort of thing. There's no comms paying here, but usually comms as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't want to be, I want to trade less frequently. I know it's
Mm-hmm.
ironic, seeing that I have about 30 trades, but I don't want to trade in and out of the same positions. RMB looking to break, did look like it was going to break today, but came back. It looks like there's a big seller around that 77, 76
Yeah.
rand level. But at some point, either the seller runs out of stock or the buyer runs out of capital. But the looks like the seller is now failing to push the stock all the way back down to the bottom of the range there. Came bitterly close in December, twice actually. I was saved by the 200-day exponential moving average because my stop was just below the 200-day moving average. For a change, I was on the right side of the 200-day exponential moving average. And man, we actually chatted about this last week. Searchix 40, when you look at that monthly chart, man, that head and shoulders pattern looks very, very beautiful.
Yeah. So it's weird because when did we chat about it? I forget when. And then a lot of people subsequent I've seen a lot of folks suddenly talking. There's someone out there saying that's a cup and handle. I mean, you've got to turn your head weird ways to see a cup and handle. But as a potential head and shoulders with a massive target, what
Yeah,
75,000 or so.
and we're still at 58, making new highs. So that looks very, very, very good. And there was dividend payment today. I was anticipating some dividend, perhaps in midnight when the swaps are being charged.
Yeah.
The dividend will come in.
I'm sorry. I mean to go look. I got a dividend on one of my trades, but I couldn't find the details as to the date it was paid
Yeah,
because
hopefully
today
over
was
the
payday.
yeah, today was payday.
Mm.
Sibanye looking to add to first thing tomorrow at market open, because we broke out of this nice falling wedge. My stop will be at break even on the initial trade, which means I can now risk again another 2% on the trade, which we just pull the stop. Easy does it. So I no longer have a risk on this trade. I'll add into this position first thing tomorrow, market open tomorrow morning.
Cool.
Mr. Price is looking very, very good. Looked like it was breaking yesterday. He came back today. Perhaps some
Yeah,
profit
that was
taking
some
on
of
Mr. Price.
that was. Yeah, that was the retail. I can't figure it out. I mean, I don't know if the spike that we saw Monday, Tuesday was on improved expectation. Sure. Maybe some short squeezing because these were easy shorts. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And Ren mentioned as well, looking very, very good. Ren mentioned looks to have, and if I jump back to my weekly chart, trend indicators have crossed. So the 60 has just recently crossed the 30-week exponential moving average. Recently crossed the 60-week, looking good. And the seller seems to fail to push the price back down to that 28-ish level. So I'm looking for a break above that 32 rand level, 3% higher, and then we are off to the races on this trade. And I'm targeting 47 rand on Rand mentioned.
Cool.
Yep, Sasol
What is
looking
Sasso
good.
doing?
Sasol has been, let me just
powering.
yeah, and finally held above the 200-day exponential moving average.
Yeah, it hasn't been above that in a long time.
Yeah, perhaps we'll see how it reacts to that level there. It looks like it found some resistance around that 170, but doesn't look like a very, very strong resistance either. Because I think that's where the gap happened.
Yeah,
that's around where the gap
so that
happened.
the gap closed in June, and then and Petri's got Petri's short-term target was I think around 170, 180. His longer-term target is around $300.
Yeah, but for me, I'm gonna have to wait until these two cross because I can't just I can't just this filter is taking me out of a lot of trades. Sapi springs to mind as well, looking very, very good. So I'm looking for that break through 46 rand, and perhaps these two would have crossed by then. We'll see if they do cross. Discam as well. Discam looking very, very good.
Regan just mentioned Discam.
Oh yeah, by the way, I did a podcast with Regan. Yes, it was out this morning.
That.
Yeah, I'll drop the link to that in the spreadsheet as well. Do check it out. It was a great conversation that Regan and myself. And it broke through this downtrend line there. Discam is looking very, very good. Discam looking very, very good. I'm liking it. We'll see. Maybe over 27 rand, I might jump into this trade.
I get it through those earlier highs. Yeah.
And one that I'm really, really keen to enter on is Aspen. After that spring there on, I think it was on the news on J&J, that spring there. So I'm looking for the break through that 150 rand resistance. Then I'm gonna jump into this trade, and my target is 240.
So I had some equity in Aspen from about 126, waiting on the Johnson & Johnson news. But I've taken my money and run already because my target was 146. I hit that and I took the money and ran.
Yeah, my target for Aspen is 244.
But if you remember the podcast we recorded last week, where kind of look at the equity with a story and then a price action that plays into it. The challenge I'm coming into, and you mentioned it, that a lot of the stocks that I will want to trade are not available in the platform because they're those small and mid caps. And I've got to wrap my head around how I'm going to figure that out.
Yeah, because
And
especially
not
the
to
mid
do
cap stocks.
massive gearing, but
yeah, and perhaps that's a good thing because if you're going to stay on the trade on the news with some gearing, that if the stock is illiquid, that's going to be a problem.
yeah, and like some of them, like so Trelidor, I'm already up. I got in the 2. It's £2.50, but I'm not expecting anything now to happen for probably another 6 or 8 weeks. It's not a massive swap cost, but the bigger point is just not available because it's a highly illiquid small cap. I mean, just for me to get in a £2 took me days and days and days.
Yeah. So yeah, and especially if the price is very, very low in rent terms, it just expands on that illiquidity. It's like
Yeah.
trading purple. And I'm also waiting for this nice cup and handle on ShopRite to break around that 150.
Oh, that is massive. So ShopRite's got a trading update sometime soon, and that could be the trigger. Certainly, updates so far have been better than expected, although they've been clothing as distinct from food updates. But let's see what the ShopRite update looks like when it comes out. It might be this week, or it'll be next.
Yeah, and my target for that is around 260. I'm very ambitious with my targets.
No, dude, I like your ambition there. Hey, why not? Eh? To the moon and beyond.
Yeah.
Glenn, absolute pleasure to be back. It's good to be back. I got to say, I was saying to Njabulo earlier, last week was hard. I couldn't get my microphone to work. It's because I hadn't plugged it in. I mean, my brain just wasn't back in. This week's been a much better week for me. Cool. Shall we park it there?
Yeah. I don't have any more chats unless there's more questions coming in, which aren't at the moment.
No, I'm not seeing questions. Let me take a peek. The chat. Nope, I'm not. Cool. Folks, we'll leave that there. The emails will be triggering out. As I'm saying, we're going to do some tweaks, but broadly the format will remain. I'm going to go hunt some indices to trade, although they seem to all have moved. I need a time machine more than indices. And I'm going to go delve into my 721. But ladies and gents, appreciate your time. And Njabulo, as always, looks to see questions coming in. Steve, pleasure. Graham, always absolutely a pleasure. Yeah, cool. We'll leave it there. Folks, we'll chat again next week.
Cheers, everyone.